Okay, sorry, some urgent call was there. Okay, so spend-based emission factors include supplier-specific method, and this definitely is highly accurate, and it captures the specific supplier processes. But it is limited by the supplier's data availability and the detail. If it is a small player, he cannot afford to do such kind of activity, even though the activity has gone very cheap. Second tier, which is tier two,
Sir, I have a question on this.
yes.
Yeah. When you're saying supplier specific method, data required is product specific data from supplier means it will be in the quantifiable data like in quantity or in a rupees means financial form.
I
Which
am
form it?
expecting quantifiable GHG emission directly. GHG inventory is said here. If you see the description, I am
Uh-huh.
expecting my supplier to calculate and give me the GHG inventory of
Oh, okay,
the
okay,
material
okay.
or the product I am receiving.
Okay. Directly emissions I'm reading.
Yes, of course. That is my first. Otherwise, it's not tier three data. Then it will be tier one.
Uh, okay, got it.
Okay, so second tier is average data method, which is estimated is which estimates emission by collecting data on the physical quantity like kgs, liter. You can see now clarity will come as I will go along. So kg liter data somebody is providing. For him, it is most accurate data because it's a quantity based data uh, of purchased goods and service. So how much raw material he has used. If he has that data, he should give me. But it is for me in the scope 3 is level 2 data. For mass and physical quantity of good, this is how I will get in kgs or liters. Of course, accuracy goes to medium because the tier 2 data and it is useful for industry benchmark, accessible for secondary data, but may not reflect the exact supply chain variations. Okay, that's the challenge there. Spend based method is rupees term or dollar terms, right? People will give you that from their ERP system. In this case, use of financial data, basically purchase value of how much of raw material he is purchasing, like silica or like tungsten or if I'm talking about chipboard, then you have green color boards or the circuits which is drawn, ink of those, etc., etc. He will give you all that to you, and now it is your headache to get it calculated. Okay, so this is a spend method, and you have to now again apply the reasonable, emission
So,
factors to it. Yes, please.
yeah, sir, how emission factor in this, like, how can they conclude emission factor on the rupees, like financial term?
Yes, it is available there per unit of dollar. This is the emission factor you have to apply. They provide there in that book.
Okay.
What we will do in one of the session, I will open one of the screenshots of
Okay.
our
That
system.
will be helpful, sir. Yeah.
For sure, I will do that. Financial expenditure on purchases, or I will share one screenshot in the group. Last time we have done that, so it must be there in the group. But you guys, if you are a new joining, you might not see it. Bharti, you must have seen because we have posted it when we were running it last time. We have done that two, three
Uh,
shots on the
I would have missed it, sir. I'll check. Yeah.
fair. We will send it again anyway. It was IPCC AR6 and DEFRA, of course, I cannot access the full book. You can always download it
Okay.
free
Yeah.
of cost. Yeah, but we will send you the screenshot so you will know how to read it. Broadly applicable, this requires financial records of that company and that too accurate. He should provide you everything which they gets a little stingy about. Okay, that if we will know my raw material cost and how much I'm charging, he can always calculate my profitability. Next year, he will try to manipulate me. Yeah, that's a challenge people get. So you have to only ask the limited data which is important for you. Now, collection activity data for a scope, you have to understand what are the sources are there, right? For each of this category, what kind of source we will be talking about. Once emission source is there, then we will do the calculation in next step that how you will apply that emission factors to this emission source data, and then you get the GHG inventory, right? You will get the tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. So first of all, purchase goods and service. What will be the source here of activity data? You can have supplier inventory records if he provides you, purchase order of the supplier, how much he is purchasing for, and then procurement record. These three data, they should link with you. So now oil and gas industry, etc., they ask you even that you follow SAP. So SAP will be linked, and now SAP 1 has launched their own accounting inventory, right? So for oil and gas industry, now it's very easy. You just click of button, you can get all the verified data. But of course, it is in implementation phase. Just now, this is the first month. They have launched it last month, means after trials, etc. Now they are running live. So capital good data, if I'm talking, then of course I'm talking about supplier records, procurement data, capital asset register, etc. If I'm saying fuel and energy related activity, category number 3, then fuel and energy consumption data has to be made available for a scope 1 and 2 inventory on their side, which becomes a scope 3 for me. Okay. Uh, then you have upstream transport and distribution. Here again, you rely on fuel energy data from transport providers. You also can take third-party GHG emission data if they provide you GHG emission, nothing like it. And then logistic financial data can also help you to calculate that. Waste generated in operation, of course, it is your own process. So here, if you have a waste tracking system, that what exactly is happening with the waste, there is a very good example. Somebody did a research on Starbucks, uh, coffee cups, right? What he did that he used to put, because they put a name, right? Once they will issue you, they will put a name. So he did that tracking of those cups. There is a very famous study recently released, and there was several reels has been released as well. So just search it and you will find Starbucks has done. Somebody did the analysis on Starbucks cups, that how much of it goes to the landfill, and he got a really mind-boggling numbers. So waste generation can be done through the waste tracking system, and third-party waste management data along with financial record helps you there. Business travel, of course, is easiest data to calculate if you really diligent you are diligent about it. For example, travel agency report, you can take it at the year end and you can get that all people traveling with your travel agent in one go. If that is not available, of course, employee travel record, you need to find it out, that how many employee you have a sponsor to go on business visit or different purpose visits, and calculate and which kind of modality he has used, and calculate, based on that, how much of air travel, how much of road travel, how much of train travel, and multiply again the emission factor. Now, GHG data for transportation modes are the third party data, if that is available, like Indigo. They publish their sustainability reports based on which carrier they are using. Is it a Boeing 747 or is it Boeing Max? Based on that, they have emission factor disclosed in their books. Get that data, multiply it with how many people have used what kind of, transportation. Then comes the upstream leased asset. This is the eighth number category under upstream. The last one, where energy consumption and lease information from the asset owner. So you can go and ask your WeWork provider if you are in shared. If you are in a large office, you can always ask your lease provider to provide you that how much of energy consumption you have done over a year. And that data you again multiply with the emission factor, or you ask them to provide you third party emission data. Downstream starts with downstream transport and distribution, fuel energy data, third party data. It's a similar. Processing of sold product requires customer process information. So you need to know how they are processing it. Okay. Are they your franchisee? If they are franchisee, how much of oil burning is happening? How much of cooking gas has been used? How much of paper packets are used, etc., etc. Or ask them to give you product life cycle data, because if you are a motherboard provider, you will ask them that, okay, you are a HP, have you Packard company? So you are putting that motherboard into your laptop, HP laptops. So tell me what is your total emission, and then you can collect that data from there. Downstream one. Now, process of sold products. So it's a simple, right? If for me it is a scope one because I am producer of motherboard. For the HP, it becomes a scope three. And once I sold to him, now the laptop total PLC data is my scope three. Are you with me? So then again, you could have asked me that there is a chance of double counting. Again, my answer would be the same. It's exactly value chain. We are not mixing it up, and that's why scope three cannot be mixed with one and two. It cannot be, right? Because there is a value overlap. And that's why you need to be careful. And upstream and downstream, both sides are there, right? So you added in between also a value. So it will be triple counting, not only double counting. But it doesn't happen because we always put a segregation. Then, of course, end of life treatment of sold product. So where your product actually goes and ends up with. Is it does it become a vehicle for some, like, they say, specifically in mobile companies who are manufacturing mobile for your vehicle, the thick material. If you do not understand mobile, I'm just trying to explain. Those containers or pent containers, you might have seen a lot of truck people uses it. So that is the end of life for that product. Of course, there is a further end of life where he throws, nobody knows, and he use it for another 10 years at least, right? It's in his truck or it is in his garage. So that has the end of life. So you have to calculate how many years it will be there in the environment. Will it be used till the time it depreciates to its lowest value, and what will be the afterlife effect, right? So if it is a plastic, of course, there is 1,000 years life. So there is a emission factor for that, and how many years it is being there. Every year you distribute it. Again, there will be one question which I will be trying to answering on this nuances, end of life one. Okay, it's very tricky one. Then comes the downstream lease asset. So these lease information, third-party GHG data, energy uses report from asset manager, you can always use. Same like upstream lease asset. Franchisee is the, whatever royalty you are getting on that account, you need to know that how your franchisee locations are using energy and emission of energy data, and specifically the survey records or sale data you can get there, that how much sales he is making on that account, you can calculate your scope 3. Investment, same. So here only to the proportion of how much money I have invested, I need to account for it, right? So portfolio carbon footprint is a essential factor. A lot of private equity players, they work with our partner Breathe ESG, and they do this all the time, right? That how much my portfolio has emitted. So his portfolio, and then you go ask them, let them fill the form. Once they fill the form, you upload in a system or Excel sheet, and eventually you calculate the number. So this is how 15 data sources are available. Now, what are the emission category and how you calculate? Let's see some example. At least each category, we should see one or two examples. So let's just start with the first exercise where we are going to calculate now purchase good and service calculation. So this is the first category, category number one, purchase goods and services. Here, all three methods you can use. And which are those three methods? Supplier specific method, average data method, and spend based data method. Because as somebody asked just now, right, if I'm getting in dollar term that how much sales he's doing to me and to other suppliers as well. So that is my scope 3 emission. So whatever he is emitting is my scope 3 emission. So what I will ask him, that tell me that what is your annual spend on paper? So for example, this is the paper supplier case study, right? So here supplier specific data will be uses data directly from suppliers, which is your paper supplier, for precise calculation. Okay, so if he had GHG emission per bundle or per kgs of the paper he's supplying to me, then it will be the ideal. Like in first case, you see in calculation example, the activity data which I have received it, how many bundles he supplied to me. So he said that annual consumption of bundle is around 1,000 bundles. Then I will go in DEFRA record or I will go in IPCC and I will check that what is the emission factor per bundle. So I will find there it is 1.2 kgs carbon dioxide equivalent, okay, per bundle. So calculation becomes very easy. You do not need a software for this specific, but because there are several activity, you need a software. Otherwise, Excel is enough. Still, last year, the number of people using software was very minuscule. Only large company used to do. Now everybody is doing it because the prices have gone down of the software. Otherwise, Excel sheet, what is the calculation? 1.2 into 1000. That's it. So you know 1.2 tons of carbon dioxide I have emitted on account of purchase goods and service, category number 1 under scope 3. Is it clear? Any doubt? Because this is very critical to understand. And if you will see next categories, it's a replication of the same. So we will take only few. Okay, we will not go each of them. However, I will show you. If you want, you can take a screenshot. Uh, Average data method, if I am using, then he might be in that case providing me annual paper uses data. So if I am using 2000 kgs, instead of bundles, I have a specific number here, right? And this number is averaged. It is not exact number coming from the inventory, inventory team. It is a number which I am assuming based on my 5 years of record. That look, annually we take to 100,000. This 2 kgs per bundle is approximately one bundle number is. So I have taken one number. It is more accurate. Why it is more accurate? Because this is a mass-based calculation. Mass-based calculation is always little better than you are applying directly to bundles or carrots or packaging material. Based on that, if you are doing calculation, you will be little far away because same package can hold sometime 10 kgs and sometime 15 kgs, like plastic bags, right? Plastic bag is designed to carry 5 kgs, but you only bring 1 kg sometime in that. Okay, then availability as well, suppliers requirement as well, all that decides that if you are going for bundle, there will be some bundle with less kgs and some bundle with higher kg. And that's why average databases, you will at least approximating it to how many kgs they are producing. And once you use that, then emission factor you see is different. It is 0.7 kgs carbon dioxide equivalent per kg. So they have given exact number for per kg. And that's why the result is little higher than the specific supplier specific method. Supplier specific method, if I'm getting is most accurate. Then you have average data, which is little better. And then you have the best data coming from, you have the little less best data is coming from spend based, because here you do not know mass, you do not have even actual carbon emission coming from them. So a spend based method, specifically the annual spend on paper is 30,000 in this year. Now, if you look financial value based emission factor, it goes in 3 digits, decimal 3 digit. You can see that, right? So you can understand again the formula of average. You might be distorted if you are missing in pi value less than 3 digits. So it will be difficult to. It is opposite, exactly opposite of that, and it has the similar impact. So average spend cost under dollar terms is little more approximation. Why? Because inflation has not been accounted for. Country purchase power parity need to be accounted for. Specifically when you are sitting in India and dollar versus rupees depreciation is happening every day basis, you will be challenged here. Okay, if you are using DEFRA or IPCC. If you are using CAEA, then you are more nearer. But if you are using, DEFRA or IPCC, you are much far away. So that's another reason this is always counted as tier 1 data or very far away from, not very far away, but far away from accuracy. Capital goods is important, so I will take this one as well. Fuel energy you will know, so I'm not going to go inside it. But what I will definitely highlight, you see here approach name has changed. Approach name has changed. Why? Because here machinery will have different kind of approach, then furniture fixture, then construction material. Each of three has a different kind of source, and that's why the method which you use in capital goods calculation, generally it happens only two cases. One, when you are doing real expansion, or every year also there will be a small number on account of growth investment. What is growth investment? Maintenance mostly, right? You are adding some, spare parts or removing some spare parts on that account. In this case, there are different approaches based on where you are focusing. So if it is a machinery, of course, you will have assembly lines, factory equipment. And this here, you should ideally ask for supplier records. They should provide you because they are such a large capital equipment providers are generally large companies, presumably. Yeah. If you are not getting it only assembled from somebody next to your house. Yeah. In that case, of course, you will ask them purchase order of the steel, how much he has taken in as an input. And then emission factor here, you need to be little more conscious about if you really want to get accuracy. Why? Because each industry capital goods provider will have a different kind of database. So that database you should be referring to, or supplier specific factors you should be referring to. Result, of course, you are very near to accuracy. High impact due to asset intensity as well, because this is the highest intensity assets in any organization. Machine always is higher. But when you are in real estate, of course, construction material will be very high, then furniture fixture, and then machinery. So this is how it changes across different arguments. Now, if you see furniture fixture, of course, office furniture, shelving unit, etc., is activity data which you want to take, like warehousing, etc. That's the maximum number. If you are working in warehouse, like Amazon warehouse, etc., they have racking system, right? That is the most costly item inside the building. Building is on rent mostly. Even though they have built, it will be equal number. So you need to be careful on the shelving units, get that data. Of course, the emission factor also should be shelving unit emission factor, office furniture emission factor, and result will be eventually little less accuracy. If you go to construction material, of course, building material is structural component. These are the places where you will have emission factor. Mostly people rely here BREEAM or LEED providers, and they provide the accuracy here. Project reports will be ideal to get that what is every month or every year, how much of construction work is done and what exactly is the number. And eventually what you reflect is asset value. Durability will decide that how much emission has happened. Now, cradle to gate and gate to cradle is the another concept which comes into fuel and energy related. I will tell you that mostly here the three different type of databases people refer are DEFRA, IPCC, and industry specific like CEA data in India. What you calculate here is purchase electricity in upstream, or natural gas consumption by your raw material provider, or fuel oil which is used in transportation. All that data emission factor will come from international numbers. You need not to be worried if it is except the electricity, which is you should be always talking about regional data. If you are going into category 4, upstream transportation and distribution, here transportation it relates to fuel based, distance based, and spend based. Of course, fuel based is the how much of liter amount of fuel used. So fuel consumption data is mostly amount of fuel used, which is liter in kg and collected from supplier. It's mostly quantity based. Here, DEFRA, US EPA, and IPCC, all three you can use to convert them. Distance based is another data which you can take it kilometer wise, vehicle distance. But you can understand in India, vehicle traveling per kilometer compared to US will have a different kind of emission. But Again, it is a tier 2 data kind of stuff where collected from suppliers, distance-based data. If in that case, you should use DEFRA, US EPA, and even sometime logistic studies which are available in that country. Yeah, that will bring it to closer to your accuracy. Spend-based data, if you have nothing, then this is the best method. Transportation expenditure, you take that dollar term or rupees term, and you convert. It comes from finance and procurement record mostly, and you again apply here. US EPA triple IO has the most accurate data for dollar conversion. Okay, so if you want rupees conversion, of course you convert dollar to rupees and then multiply the US EPA double EIO data provider. Okay, again it's a free source and you can always download it. Example here will be little confusing because I am downloading it from my software, so it is little bit of codes also are there, but ideally it's same calculation doesn't change. What you take the annual energy diesel consumption in fuel based method, which is 5,000 liters in this case, in my case, and then you take the diesel emission factor, which is given in the bottom, right? 2.4 kg carbon dioxide equivalent per liter. Simple. What will be next step? Tell me. What will be next step? Let's make it little engaging for you otherwise. What will
Just
be the third step?
multiplication 5,000 into 2.
Absolutely. 5,000 into 2.4 to get the fuel-based method. Second one will be 10,000 tons has been carried. Here, look, T and M is important word. What? Why? Because 10,000 kilometer traveled by empty truck versus 10,000 kilometer traveled by a 40-ton container truck will have a different kind of carbon emission. Okay, understand that. That's why there is a T dash kilometer. Okay. Of course, it also changes based on which location you are. If you are in US, roads are really nice. If you are in in certain areas where mining is happening, roads are really bad. So you have to give that context and allowance. That's why numbers will be little different here, right? 12,000 versus 7,000. And then spend-based data method, of course, you take the dollar. You have a spend-based road transport spend factor, which is 0.145 kgs carbon dioxide equivalent per dollar. You multiply that in dollar to carbon emission. If you don't have dollar, you have rupees, convert into dollar, and then you multiply by that factor and get the emission factor. The waste generated operation again have three different types. And here you see there is no spend-based method. Here there are three different methods. Why? Because it's operation data, right? Mostly you will have a control how much of waste you are selling. So you get the supplier specific, get it done once for your company. Ideally, people put even AQI measurement equipments in their offices, calculate it for 3 months, get that average, and every year you can apply. So that's a supplier specific. Okay. Here again, you can go to repositories which are specific to your industry, specific to your process, like soldering oil and gas emission, right? The waste is whatever is left over or gas coming out of it. So repository like WORM is good example here for supplier specific data. Otherwise, EPA and DEFRA also have this data. Then you have a waste type specific, like a fluent you have, right? This is, of course, internal EHS team decision. And if they are tracking the waste, that is the best way to collect this data. And here, life cycle assessment tools like SEMA Pro, Gabi, EcoInvent, Nestle Inventories, and all this we train in our, by the way, in one of our boot camps of life cycle assessment. There we tell you how to use this SEMA Pro, Gabi. So we'll bring you a play copy. And these are freely available. So you can learn it and use it. These are freely available softwares for waste or life cycle assessment. Life cycle assessment also happens here. And then, of course, you have an average data method. Then this is one of the simple example. Once you have the annual waste treatment happening, how much of that, and you know what is the total emission. Directly in case of India, there are authorized people who can only buy waste from you, e-waste or otherwise. Each state has allocated different companies. Or Eco Crew, or there are a lot of apps, right? We discussed in one of those classes. Those apps can also help you to calculate the waste emission. And then waste type factor methods requires the multiplication, because you need to have emission factor multiplied by the actual emission which has happened. And then average data method also, how much money you received, how much tons of or kgs of waste you have produced in a year, multiplied by a factor will give you that answer. Business travel emission, as I told you, again, it has a three different criterias, but similar to those what we have learned in the beginning. It has a fuel-based method, distance-based method, and a spend-based method. But remember here, which mode of transport you have used, it will decide whether you are able to calculate it correctly or not. Okay. So DEFRA, US EPA, and IPCC is the best data sources. US EPA double EIO is another data, which is input output environmental emission data, is basically that data set is called input output emissions factors. Employee commute, how they are reaching to your office, we have already discussed in detail that here best way to calculate is the regional or national studies. That will be the most easy to apply, and reliability will increase. Otherwise, very highly complex data calculation, because first of all, that data is difficult. Nobody records it, how many kilometers he has driven. He can give you an assumption, then based on that assumption, you have to calculate. And also it depends on what time he's traveling to office. Same kilometer traveled at 9 o'clock in Bangalore and same kilometer traveled at 7 a.m. in Bangalore will have a different kind of emission altogether, right? Again, we have shown you the same example, which we will also share with you if you required in a screenshot basis. Category 8, this is the last category in upstream, which is upstream lease asset. What we do here is for lease asset, again, it is asset specific, like you have forklift, you have lifting units like cranes, right? So based on which kind of asset it is, you need to get the emission factor. Emission factors are available from DEFRA, USGPA, IPCC. And but the problem is physical quantity based emissions, right? How much diesel has been consumed by the crane, or electricity is consumed by the crane, etc. So it is little low accurate method. Best is let your lessor provide you the data. Okay, where average data method he can apply, calculate it based on IGBC if it is a building, Indian standard if it is a machine, US building census if it is again a commercial building. So based on that, it is little complex, but it is little more accurate as well. And best, if you want most accurate data here, then intensity based distribution, which is like storage area used by meter square. This data comes in based off meter square or feet square basis, and how much of feet I have used. And if I am doing on chiller, etc., I have a warehouse, which is chiller warehouse, then it will be meter cube data. So how much of meter cube I have cooled, I will get that data from my supplier. It is little difficult to calculate because here you need electricity intensity used in that particular place. If it is a crane, you can imagine, right? And if it is a lift, you can imagine what is the energy consumption, even though it is basis of lease. So accuracy is very high, but complexity is also going to be high there. Okay, so let's go to the second part of discussion on emission categories, which is downstream. Any question here? Let me stop for a couple of minutes. If you have any question, if you are not able to follow, do let me know now. Okay, go ahead. Ask the question, please.
Vivekji, what about the data as an emission? In the companies, we are using software and that generates the data. So how that will be calculated?
As a data center, you are saying, right?
Yeah, data center or data, whatever the company stores in their servers, and then data transportation and transition, storage, all these things are there, right? So how that will be taken care?
No, I didn't get you. Come again, because here look, there is a very based on, you are talking about computer data, right? Mostly you are talking
Right, yes.
servers,
Yes.
etc. So based on what exactly he's storing, there will be one more differentiator. Is it a scope 2 emission or is it a scope 1 emission? Are you with me? So that also need to be.
Yes.
If it is your own server sitting in your own premise, the boundary, again, boundary will play the role here. Then, of
Yeah.
course, all the data which you are putting on your server is a scope 2 because energy consumed, you will be
Right.
tracking. You will not be doing any
Yeah.
processing, or even though you are doing mining, Bitcoin mining, right? If it is happening in your premise, your machine, then only you will take the energy which is getting consumed, which is a scope 2 emission. Challenge
But
comes.
sometimes, yeah, sorry.
Challenge comes.
Sometimes we buy the data
Yeah, you
also
buy the
from.
server or racks or data center racks, etc. In that case, it is a scope 3. How you calculate is his emissions. So that
Okay.
is a leased emission which you are talking here. Okay, leased means that particular category where we are talking about leased equipment, leased asset. That is the one. So his scope 2 and scope 1 emission is your scope 3 emission.
Okay.
Are you with
Okay.
me? So if he says
Yes.
for you have booked only out of 200 racks, only 20 racks, right? So he will tell you that look, for 200 racks, this was my total energy consumption, total racks, capital asset consumption. I'm depreciating this every year so much because that also gets accounted, right? If you are depreciating capital equipment, right? You have two choices. One, you can upfront a write-off, but generally, capital assets are there in the books for long. So he will say that, look, every year I'm depreciating by 10%. So you take 10% of capital goods plus energy consumed, which is my scope 1 and 2 emission, and build it in your books as scope 3 emission. So mostly energy, which is the challenge. Microsoft example was best, which we have discussed in first chapter. And we clearly identified that a lot of people place this in order to reduce the carbon emission. By the way, today, how many of you have read a news relating to Google buying buying carbon credit in India?
From agriculture farmers.
That is the old news now. The current news is
Uh-huh.
Google has shifted its strategy. What they have done is they have gone to a third party provider, which is Pluto Carbon, is the exchange from where they are buying this. And what they are buying is biochar. So
Mm-hmm.
a company called Varaha. Yeah, Varaha. This is today's.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are buying
I
from
read it.
for next
Mhm.
5 years, and they are paying first time. They are paying an amount of $100. Okay, hundred
Yeah.
dollar per tons of carbon is sold at $100 is per unit of carbon credit. And this is a crocs. This is another kind. Of course, we discussed this in our carbon credit system. This is another system which Pluto Earth has developed. Pluto.earth, that's the website. They have developed a CROC system. So it is not CERs or RECs or normal carbon credit, which is used in normal purposes. They have developed their own, and Google has gone there and purchased it at really good price. Otherwise, Microsoft, Intel are not paying beyond $15 to $30. Sometimes people are saying it is $50, but I don't know who is making because I know farmers are not making more than $5 to $10. Uh, okay, so yeah, does that answer your query?
Yes. So Pluto, you said that Pluto.ai.
Pluto.earth. That's the
Earth.
exchange where from they are
Uh-huh.
buying, but they are buying from Varha. Varha is
Oh,
selling
yeah.
next 5 years. So Pluto.earth maybe will do the verification of it and put it on the purchase request list, and you can buy it. So
Okay.
that's the system they are following. Like EKI Energy, okay? EKI Energy is a very good example. By the way, I will do a small recording and share with you all on the carbon credit. Very interesting story of. Okay, when I will discuss module 4, we will discuss about it in detail. Okay,
Vivekji, I have a question.
please go ahead.
In the category one, okay, in the paper bundle which we were talking of,
Yes,
okay, in the calculation,
right.
okay, we use that 1.2 kg per bundle. Okay, that's a supplier specific and he gives that information, right?
Right.
But when it comes to average spend,
Hmm.
on the calculation example, we take that 2000 kg into 0.7 mass-based
Yes.
calculation.
Yes.
Now, this 0.7, these kind of numbers, we get any kind of reference through which we take this?
Yes, this is the DEFRA data I'm referring
It's
to.
from the DEFRA data.
DEFRA data, where I will use the average spread method.
Got
Is
it.
my screen visible now? So let's have a quick quiz to check. And now this is your chance to do the calculation. That's why I didn't do the calculation, because I'm going to give you the quiz, which is an easy calculation to do, but it will test your metal, that have you understood or not. And then we can decide, we need to revise it again, review it again. Just okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we are going for downstream. So now we are going to focus on the source emission of downstream. We will have a case study as well at the end. We will try to squeeze it if possible. And we will also look into what are the challenges there. So we have already discussed the importance. We'll discuss the challenges. But before we do that, let's have a quick quiz. So if you think you have not learned it, this is your chance to get a idea whether you have learned it or not, right? You can realize that. Go ahead and log in, please. Most of you are logged in, just you need to go and activate it once more. That's it. Once all of you are logged in, just let me know, okay? Everybody is logged in?
Yeah. I'll.
Okay.
Yes.
Bharti, Sudhanshu is logged in, okay. Okay, so let's go and take the question number first. Which method estimates emission from, and this is timed down, so fast the better. Which method estimates the emissions from purchased good and services using specific supplier data? Did anybody could not answer? Okay, I believe everybody has answered. Okay. So correct answer is supplier specific method, right? This is the method used for purchase good and service, where you definitely use some specific supplier data. Second question, how does average data method estimates emissions for purchase good? How does the average data method estimate emissions for purchase goods? Okay, 15 seconds more. So whoever could not answer, answer it now. How does the average data method estimate emissions for purchased good or goods? By using actual supplier emission data, etc. That's the option. Correct option is by estimating based on industry average, right? That will be obvious. These are obvious questions, right? I'm just running it so that you recall it. Okay. Average data method estimate requires estimating based on the industry averages. Next question. What type of capital goods are included in the scope 3 emission? What types of capital goods are included in the scope 3 emissions? I'm giving a chance again. Okay. The correct answer is machine, vehicle, furniture, construction material. This type of that. Which emissions are accounted for in scope 1 and 2 related to capital goods? Which are related to capital goods? You have another 2 seconds, 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 0. Okay, the correct answer is use of capital goods emission. What is the primary source of emission related to fuel and energy in upstream activity? What is the primary source of emissions related to fuel and energy in upstream activity? The correct answer is energy consumption. Emission related to fuel and energy, upstream activity is going to be energy consumption. How can emission associated with energy consumption in upstream activities be determined? How can emissions associated with energy consumption in upstream activities be determined? By estimating based on purchase order? By estimating based on purchase order? Okay. Correct answer is by using energy audits or consumption data. So you put the AQI measurement system and calculate that data. What types of emissions are included in upstream transportation and distribution? What types of emissions are included in upstream transportation and distribution? Okay, you have 15 seconds more. So who could not answer? Try it again. What type of emissions are included in upstream transportation and distribution? Emission from vehicle owned by the reporting company or third-party transportation services, employee commuting emissions or waste disposal. Upstream transportation is third-party transportation emission. Employee commuting will be used in employee commute. And vehicle owned by companies is scope 1. Waste disposal emission has nothing to do with the transportation and distribution. Next question. Which methods can be applied to calculate transportation emission? Which method can be applied to calculate transportation emission? Is it fuel-based and distance-based method? Is it average data employee survey method? Is it only distance-based method? Correct answer is fuel-based distance method. Next question. What type of waste emissions are accounted for in scope 3? What type of waste emissions are accounted for in scope 3? Only solid waste, only wastewater, both solid waste and wastewater, or only waste recycled? Both solid and wastewater. Next question. Which role do third-party waste disposal providers play in emission calculation? Which role do third-party waste disposal providers play in emissions calculation? They are not included in scope 3. They provide actual emission data for the disposal. They only provide average data. Absolutely correct. All of you got it correct. They provide actual emission data at disposal. Which mode of transport contribute to business travel emission? Which mode of transport contributes to business travel emission? Is it bicycle? Does it involves any carbon emission? Public transportation, personal vehicle, all modes of transportation and business activity. All modes of transportation used in business activity is the correct answer. What is the reliable data source for estimating emissions from employee business travel? What is the reliable source here? Reliable source, is it office supply orders, social media data, financial and procurement report, or employee surveys? Which one you think is the closest one? Yeah, that will be interesting to see. The correct answer is financial and procurement record, right? Because even employee survey, he will not tell you exactly which vehicle you have used or which airline he has used. It is Boeing 727, it is Boeing 327, whatever, number he cannot tell you. But if you check the financial record or travel agency record, then only you will get the nearest data. What factor influences emission calculated for employee commuting? What factors influence emissions calculated from employee commuting? Only the number of employees enough? Type of transportation and distance travel, do you need that? Employee preferences or only company policy will help you here? The correct answer is type of transportation and distance travel. Which calculation method uses average data for estimating employee commute emissions? Which calculation method uses average data, industry average data, right? For emission of employee commute emission. Is it fuel based? Is it distance based? It is average data method, or is it supply? Correct is average data method. What should be assessed in other upstream activity contributing to scope 3 emissions? Only financial record is enough. All type of activity and their related emissions you should collect. Only waste disposal, only transportation method. Upstream, of course, the correct answer will be all type of activity and their emission you need to calculate. Of course, it has a old data, so you will not be ranking here. Let's go to the last part of module 3, which is the downstream. Now, downstream transportation and distribution is the first category in downstream, and it is called category number 9. Here, the scope which you use it downstream transportation means what? From your gate to the consumer place. From your gate to the consumer place, or to the distributor or dealer place, or warehouses, wherever your distributor is taking over your material, but not your own warehouse. Okay. So this is downstream transportation method. So once you sold it, yeah, up to consumer or company. If it is B2B, of course, company. If it is consumer, it's B2C, then consumer. What is included here? Activity after production, excluding reporting company paid transportation. So if it is my own transportation, then I will exclude that. Data availability, again, because it's a customer who is deciding that what he will do with that raw material, which route he will take it to his place, or where he is using it, it is his decision. So the data will be always limited here. Often require external source to establish that fact, like customer or third-party transportation. Challenge here is data gaps, varied reporting accuracy, critical to estimate emission accurately. Now, this particular category includes downstream transportation and distribution between customer and the reporting company. The covers, of course, is the post-production cycle, not funded by the reporting company. That's why it is difficult to obtain even. And data for these activity usually are limited. Which are the limited data sources and calculation method you use here? You use fuel-based method or distance-based method, same like what we have done in transportation. And who are the provider? DEFRA, US EPA, IPCC. If you want to do distance method, then logistic studies are best way to calculate that. And if you are doing spend method, then EPA, EEIO, which is environmental emission input output emission repository, is the best place to refer to. If you are talking about processing of the sold product, then how emission comes from the processing of sold intermediate product to the third party. There will be somebody is adding something and selling it to another party. All that will be captured as your scope 3 till the time it is going to end of life discussion. So you need to calculate that and put it into scope 3. So downstream, okay. So there is a mistake here in this sheet. Don't read the table. Table has some issue. What happened? Okay, maybe I had changed. Just give me 1 sec. Okay, so there is some issue with the rest of it. Okay, that's very bad. Okay, let me show you then DEFRA. DEFRA data, okay? Let me show you one example of DEFRA data. This is the 2024 data which I have access to. Let's look into that. Is my screen visible?
No.
Okay. Let me put it once more. I do not want to start right now mitigation. Let's start tomorrow. Let's check the different data. Okay. This is the Excel sheet which I will share with you as well. Is this Excel sheet is visible? Once it is
But
visible, just
pretty
please.
small.
Okay, fair.
Huh.
Okay, so this is Department of Energy Security and Net Zero and Department for Environmental, Food and Rural Affairs. Both of them came together and produced this particular conversion factors. So it is as per the environmental reporting guidelines of UK government. So if you want, you can click here and go and read that. What's new here, of course, they have also given that PHEV value, basically plug-in hybrid cars is the new phenomena. So they have included in 2024 calculations. So these are the changes which they have done from 23 to 24. If you want, I can share this whole thing with you. Okay, you can keep it with you as a handy stuff. And this is a public database. You can always download it, the recent version. Of course, all definitions are there for scope 1, 2, 3, because each of them has a factor. For example, if I want to do fuels under scope 1, I will click here, I will go to scope 1 calculation of fuel. Now, the moment I clicked, you saw that, right? I clicked there, it takes me to this page. This is again based on WBCSD. So GHG protocol, if you are following, this is the best data source to refer to. And they also have some out of scope guidelines. So check that if your industry is not there. Now, gasoline fuel can be different type. Like in India, mostly CNG we are using in the transportation, right? If I have own gas vehicle, then I will use this data. You see here, ton data is available. Bharti, you are asking this, right? That ton data, tons, if you have data in tons or liters.
Yes.
So if you have mass in data, CNG, sometime you will see they are giving you in kgs and tons, okay? They can also give you in liter. In that case, you have a different kind of multiplication emission factors. If you have a kilowatt hour, so you are getting CNG for energy consumption. In that case, you will get the net caloric flow value or kilowatt hour data. In that case, you have a different measurement. Yeah, and just a conversion. Okay, and each of them has a different kind of conversion based on the GWP. So you don't need to even remember GWP. They have already done for you and giving you direct conversion. Are you with me? Same thing with LNG. A lot of trucks, etc., or housing, or even ships are using LNG. Then LPG, of course, housing unit or food units, natural gas. So this is the fuel. All type of fuels are covered. If you are in aviation industry or you are calculating employee commute data, you have that data as well. Diesel, of course, truck. If you are using truck, you have a different calorific value. If it is a complete mineral diesel, so there are two type of diesel available in India as well. Biofuel blend. We have now 20% allowed, I believe. Blending is 20%, ethanol is allowed, isn't it? Then you have fuel oil, gas oil, lubricants, naphtha, petrol, all this data, if you have in tons and liters, you can easily compute.
You will be sharing this, right?
Yes, if you want, I can share, no worries.
Yeah, please.
After the session, I will share that with you. If I am having bioenergy, so I am getting biochar, right? Bioenergy is biochar, kind of stubble burning, right? In that case, this is the sheet which I will be referring to. Of course, here gigajoules or mass or liters I can use. Refrigerant and others data is also provided. This is mostly Kyoto Protocol based.
This is what GWP, all this is GWP, right? Gross warming potential. We're talking about
Yes,
GWP.
absolutely. This is example of calculating emissions from the refrigerant and other processes.
The GWP, it's given as GWP.
Then if you want specific measures for electricity, this data is available. SCR, transportation, transmission, distribution, water supply. It's quite a comprehensive. It's around 3 GB, I think, or it's quite a big file. Okay, in Excel, 3 GB is 3 KB is good file. 3
And
MB.
sir, if for electricity, from the Indian point of view, this data for UK electricity will be viable,
No,
or
no,
we use
ideally
it?
you should refer CEA data. Okay, so that
Okay,
also is available with me. If you want, I can share that with
okay.
you. Okay, so that is CEA data you should refer.
EA will be available there.
Absolutely. Don't use this data because it's very far away. Okay. Then there is a nuclear power plant. If your company is using nuclear power plant or you are in the grid where nuclear power plant is supplying, then IEA data is also available. Yeah, they also have for petroleum products conversion rate, but they are best for nuclear power plants. So that decision, of course, you can make, but eventually it's up to you. And you see, the last data is related to which country you are importing from. Okay, so that data is also long haul, short haul. Once you will start using, then only you will learn. Try it. For practice, I will share with you, all of you, if you want. It's a public data, which if somebody wants to download, he can download as well. Fair.
Vivek,
Now,
I missed the source. Can you let me know the source? Is it DEFRA?
this is DEFRA website.
DEFRA.
You can go to
DEFRA.
DEFRA website,
Okay.
Department for uh, Electricity, Food. I don't know what. Always forget that. DEFRA website. Just search on Google DEFRA website and you will find it. Go there, download it.
Okay.
Yeah, because why you should know the source is a good thing, which Megha is asking. So, because it gets updated, I will give you now, it will be not valid another 3 months. There will be new data which will come from there. But if you have this sheet, you can always click here and go there. That's another point.
Okay.
Its links are there. Okay, so that's it for the day. I think let's close it again half an hour early today. Thank you very much.
So when are we having the makeup classes? What are the days when we are
So
having the
we are
makeup?
doing on Monday and Tuesday. Monday, of course, is makeup for the regular classes which we got off because of Makar Sankranti. And Tuesday, definitely I need for makeup classes.
Vivek, is it possible to do it on Wednesday or Thursday instead of Tuesday? Because Tuesday is a very packed day for me, so I won't be able to attend Tuesday class. I
Okay,
would prefer either Wednesday or Friday, in fact, not even Thursday.
okay, fair. Let's see.
Wednesday, I'm not available actually.
See,
Same here. For Wednesday, I have also an issue.
that's the trouble. Okay, we'll see. We'll see and let you know, guys. Okay. Or we will do one more thing we can do is Monday we can start at 6. If I start 1 hour early, I might be able to cover because it's mostly
That
presentation and your test, right? Which is pending for the last day. If you guys want to do it, you can do it. Of course, I don't want to do it. Look, the question has a timer, so I can give it to you. You can answer it. 1 hour is for that. 1 hour I need definitely to be present in the class where you need to do the presentation and listen in the other presentations. Okay, so that is the last day program we have.
Monday
Second
6
last,
o'clock works for me. I mean, that works.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, Monday
Yeah.
6 is fine.
Let's do 6 o'clock, then we can
Yeah.
finish on Monday itself, and then don't need to have this, trouble of everybody's comfort. Done. So we'll have Monday 6 o'clock done, and we will by 9 o'clock we'll try to or 9:15 something like that. Anyway, question answer. We'll take. Great.
Yeah.
With that, we
Sir,
come to end.
can I ask some questions?
Yeah, please go
I have
ahead.
one or two
So
questions.
time, and this is topic.
Yeah. Sir, actually, one